Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Thor series for race 4 out of 9 at Spa-Francorchamps. 4.35 miles in length, 20 corners, only yellow on the tyre damage indicator. Some very famous corners around this track, and there's even some names I haven't put on the image. So yeah, we know this circuit. We could be in for one hell of a race. Let's take a quick look though at the standings. Demon R currently leading the way. Steve F1 in second place, Jason third, SGP fourth, Art Pal fifth, Jimmy in sixth, David Harp and Conrad tied seventh, Rich Blues in ninth, Hay in 10th, SRI in 11th, Formula Gary in 12th, Bunsall 13th, Twilight 14th, Fluffy and Mitch tied 15th, with both not being able to race yet. Okay, Spa, it's a long lap, but we still have to do qualifying, so let's have a look at the result of that then. So, the fourth qualifying session of the season, and Demon R takes pole position once again with a 154.946. Joined on the front row this week by Steve F1, 0.236 behind. On row 2 is Conrad, only just pipped to that second place by, 0.03 of a second, and he'll be joined on row 2 by Jason. Great qualifying session for both of them. In fifth place we've got SGP, and he'll be lining up alongside his little brother Art Pal in sixth place with that striking livery. In seventh is Dave the Harp in a livery that I think just about everybody in the world knows, even if they don't know about Formula 1. He'll be joined in eighth place by Twilight. Nice to see him back after having internet issues. Formula Gary will start in ninth place, and then we've got Fluffy Planet making his debut this season. No time setting qualifying, no. And unfortunately we do have a number of drivers away, personal lives are getting in the way, which is a big shame, because around a track like this, with only 10 cars on track, the amount of boost the drivers will get will be increased, and that may be a topic for conversation in a future G-Spot. But it's not like the drivers are missing because they don't want to be here or they can't be bothered. It is down to, I blame Ray for moving house, really. I think it's all his fault. And because he's moving house, it means he's not on commentary either. Anyway, that's the result of qualifying. I've waffled a bit, so here we go. It's time to hand over to our Spa commentators. So here we go then, Spa-Francorchamps, and joining me in the commentary box, it's not Ray, it's Steve. How are you, Steve?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We've got 4 lights, 5 lights, out they go, and away they go. It's a decent start by the looks of it from Jason's got a good start as Steve F1 getting close to Demon R. Around the outside at turn 1, may actually get the move done as they're now 3 wide for third.
Yeah, Jason, he loves this track and he'll be keen to make positions up early on, so I think he's got himself up to third, but we've got a battle in Rouge for the lead as well.
Side by side, past the blonde Marshall, they went. Steve F1 through into the lead, but is that the place you want to take the lead at the first lap, Steve? Because the slipstream's strong down here.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. You're better off being second off the top of Radion, but I wonder if Steve F1 was just keen to make a break from the cars behind and get himself into the lead as quick as possible. But yeah, Demon R's taking advantage and he's back in the lead.
It's a good point that. I mean, the front two have broken away a little bit from Jason, and then Conrad, they're on the pack cam at the moment with the front two peeling away a little bit. Steve F1 and Demon R being the pace setters in the championship so far, although Jason has been he's up there close to Steve F1 on the points, and someone that's close to Dave the Arp is Formula Gary, as SGP's closing in on the back of Conrad here.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, Jason, he's always strong around this track, and he's had a good start to the season as well. So I wonder if at the moment he's just looking after his tyres, because we know he's someone who likes to run long in races and come good at the end. So I wonder if he's playing the long game here, because you'd expect him to be threatening these top two.
Absolutely. I tell you what though, SGP has got a good run on Conrad. Conrad's got a good run on Jason. I think Conrad's, is he trying to make the move? He is. SGP, I thought maybe look at going in the middle. Dave the Arp's looking at going in the middle. Can't quite get it done. Oh, SGP's gone the wrong way. It goes left there, mate. And he's going into the pits. I don't think that was a planned pit stop, but he's going in there now. That'll free up Conrad a little bit. Conrad may be in a position to have a really good run on Jason. Actually, no, you know what? I think he might be too close. Something that we don't say that often, but around here it is a feature. No, actually, you're all right. I think you'll be all right. He's just far enough away. I think you'll get a good run here. But I was going to say, yeah, you can't be too close out of the first corner into Eau Rouge, and then you don't get much of a slipstream. Dave the Arp's coming under a bit of pressure, though, as Jason going defensive nice and early.
Yeah, you're right. You want a good couple of car lengths to make up as you come off the top of Rouge and Radion to then maximise your slipstream. But yeah, that was a painful mistake for SGP, wasn't it? Into the first chicane, I think he just touched the curb and the rears just lit up and around he went. And yeah, he's got a long way back from here now.
Absolutely. It was about 4 miles back. He is. Conrad nearly going a bit wider. No, we see quite a few drivers do that on the pack cam. Who coming under pressure from Fluffy. Twilight has not been available for the last couple of weeks, had no internet, and Fluffy, this is the first race for him in this championship, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Jason, is he pulling away a little bit from Conrad? He might be. Dave the Arp in 5th at the moment, just ahead of Arpal. I think Dave the Arp's got a decent chance of a good result around here as well. He's got pace, as we know, but also the tyre wear shouldn't hurt him too much around this particular track. But Arpal making a move on him down towards Blanchimont.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that won't help Dave the Arp. Being in these battles is not what you want when you want to be looking after your tyres. So, yeah, maybe for him, he'll be looking to maybe get an early pit stop and undercut people. But yeah, that's a good race in there. Just about enough space left by the pair of them, so that's nice to see. And Arpal's got the move done.
Absolutely, good driving from the both of them. Were right behind them. There's an interesting battle going on. Oh, Conrad, I think, has just tagged the back of Jason on the packgram. But yeah, I mean, Arpal's made the move, but he may have just gifted Dave the Arp the position back. Conrad's he's close enough for a really good run here. Arpal, he's got Dave the Arp behind him. Fluffy behind Dave the Arp. Conrad, yeah, he's got to get the move done here, hasn't he? Down the Kemmel straight. Jason going, I thought there was a bit of a Mansell dummy going on there.
Yeah, Jason just went to the inside, I think, at the same time as Connor went for that, and that just lost all of his momentum there. I thought Connor was going to get the move done.
Absolutely. I think Dave the Arp did get the move done on Arpal. I think Arpal tried to come back at him, though, on the back cam, and maybe come in a little bit late and a little bit hot into Lecombe. And backed out of it in the end and let Dave go. It's now compromised him, though, because Fluffy's got past, and now Gary's all over the rear of him. And Fluffy, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fluffy struggle a bit with the tyres and the car around this track. That was ever so close to Arpal having his nose chopped off. He may have the rear wing chopped off now.
Oh yeah, he's ended up well off the track there, hasn't he?
Yes.
He's going to lose a lot of time there. But yeah, nice to see Fluffy back in the championship in his very familiar bright yellow livery. It looks pretty decent on that car.
And it does. Arpal went into Puon and came Puoff. Fluffy, I do like that livery. It does look very nice. Gary's got a bit of a run on him, though. I mean, one of the things, or a few of the things Fluffy may not be aware of. Oh dear, that was close. He's got to get used to the radar in this car. It is slightly different to having driven other cars. He has been made aware of it, but being made aware of it is experiencing it are two different things. And that's the other thing. Yeah.
The other thing to learn is be careful with second gear.
Yeah, exactly.
As we just saw.
I mean, that's the crazy thing with this car. The fast corners are actually the easy corners. It's the slow ones that can punish you. So he managed to collect Gary a little bit there, but side by side they go. And these cars can do side by side, flat out, up Eau Rouge. But drivers there opting not to do it, and I don't blame them. I mean, I say they can go flat out, but maybe with a bit of tyre wear on, Steve, might not be doable.
Yeah, that's it. Once the tyre wear starts to kick in, I mean, these cars are tricky enough. Oh, as we've seen, he's gone again. And that's the inside curb had him there. But yeah, the more wear you get, it's going to be even worse in the slow speed corners.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, Fluffy might be heading for an early pit stop now after that.
He was nearly headed towards the barrier then. I mean, this is the other thing that he won't be aware of yet. Dave got very wide on the curb there on the entry to No Name. Managed to get away with it. But yeah, so Fluffy, as we're riding on board with him on the pack cam, yeah, he's struggling with the tyres as they wear. That's the other thing I was going to mention. He's going to have to learn about and get used to. Yeah, it could be a tough race for him. Artpal having a look up the inside of Gary. Gary going a bit deeper, Fangya chicane. SGP's back in it now, though.
Yeah, he's had those. Well, it's taken him nearly 3 laps to catch back up. He's had that clear air, and now he's back in it. So he'll be keen to try and now make up these positions, because I wonder if he's still thinking about Demonar and Steve F1 at the front and trying to get in front of them whenever they make their first stops.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, pitting at lap 1, you would think is race over, but with the way the boost worked, Jason into the pits earlier than I would have expected, if I'm honest. 7-8 minutes in. I was thinking with a tyre wear, 2 stops, maybe 3 stops, but Jason pitting that early. Well, could he 2-stop it, Steve? Could he just do one more stop? What, 32 minutes to go? 16 minutes and 16 minutes?
Well, it's on the limit, isn't it? I think we've seen this season, the 16 is about the absolute limit you can stretch these tyres mostly, so if he's going to do one more stop from here, he's really going to have to stretch those tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what he does from here.
Well, I suppose with SGP making a move on Gary, SGP having the fresher tyres at the moment, and SGP should find that he'll have a considerably more grip in the corners as Gary running a little bit wide. So yeah, round the outside SGP goes, and that's what I was on about. So he's got the benefit of the extra grip. What he's going to have to be careful of is Gary having another look back at him, but this is where Gary's gone very wide. He'll be glad the gravel trap isn't there anymore. And I bet there's people that don't even realise there used to be a gravel trap out there, but there did. Honestly, it was there once.
Yeah, I know that this track's now lots of just tarmac on the exit. It doesn't punish you as much, but yeah, it's interesting. SGP's tyres don't look too bad, even though he's only got 1 lap newer tyres than these guys around him. I wonder if he's been spending that time with the boost, just looking after those tyres as he's catching up.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just seems to have a bit of an advantage over the cars around him.
Yeah, he's just sort of sived his way past formerly Gary Artpal and Dave the Harp, and pulling away, which could tempt these guys into pushing a little bit harder than they need to. Artpal and Gary nearly side by side through Blanchimont. And that is a corner again that can be done flat out in these cars, even with a bit of tyre wear, as it looks like on the pack cam. We're going for a lap on board with Demon Arm. We haven't seen the leaders for a while, Steve, which I can only guess means that there's not really a lot going on between them. Yeah, a bit of a gap between about 3 seconds maybe. So this is where the action is, a little bit further down. Artpal and Gary, we've seen them side by side many times over the course of the last couple of championships, and let's see how they're going to get on through Eau Rouge, shall we? I'm going to take a breath, I reckon.
Yeah, I think these two are going to be taking a breath going wheel to wheel through here, but they think they know each other well enough by now to all these side by side, and I think Gary had to just take a bit of evasive there to be on the safe side. Just missed a bit of the corner, but I think it's all good. I don't think we're going to see the end of that battle, unfortunately, because Connor's done the same. Luffy's just got his wheel on that inside curb and it's just spat him off. That's hard. Something happened on the way back on as well, I think.
Might have done. He may have collected the bollard on his way round the corner as well. Maybe he was on the curb a little earlier than Fluffy was. Twilight closing in on him. I've got a feeling Twilight may have pitted recently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I saw him pit.
I mean, Conrod's pace was... wow. Was looking good. His tyres won't be looking good. Yeah, Twilight definitely pitted recently. He's got much more grip through Pouon. Gary's struggling out wide. Conrad coming through. I mean, this is kind of catch-22 for Conrad. His tyres are going to be suffering, but he's going to be wanting to get on with it again. But I don't think he'll be able to. Having a spin on these tyres kind of... well, it puts you on the back foot big time.
Yeah, once you have an off in these cars and these tyres, it does it's quite difficult to get the tyres back into that kind of range to take the temperature or clean them up, because you saw there with Carno, he nearly had a second moment, didn't he? Just 2 corners later. Absolutely. But Twilight, the fresh tyres are really working for him here. He's scything through the pack.
Yeah, Dave the Ops had a massive moment through Blanchimont. Dave the Ops, no, not Dave the Ops, Demonard. Dave the Ops into the pits. So is Conrad, and so is somebody else there. I didn't see who it was.
Yeah, Demonard's pitted as well.
Yeah, Demonard pitted from the lead, which would suggest he's only just getting into his box now. As Jason, who pitted early. Maybe this is why Jason pitted early. He'll be net leader because Demonard's going to come out way behind him. But what's Jason's strategy going to be? I ain't got a clue. But you know what? Considering that Jason pitted after 8 minutes, his tyre wear at the moment is very, very minimal. It could be on for that, still a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, well, we know Jason's one of the best drivers in the league at looking after his tyres, so he's more than capable of doing this. And yeah, maybe he just felt that getting track position, getting that bit of boost, and getting himself to the front is what he needs to do. So yeah, at the moment it's working for him. It looks like, as you say, he's going to be the net leader once Steve F1 pits. Yeah,
well, that's a good point. Steve F1 has not pitted yet. He's continued on. I'm pretty sure as well as Jason having a look at making a move on Gary, he's just kind of trying to get Gary out of position, I reckon. Oh, wow, Jason with a lot more grip and speed, but that's allowed Demonard to close in. Gary covers him off, though. So although Jason had a few laps undercut, he's not sort of pulled in a massive gap. It looks like Demonard's giving him a bit of a bump draft here. Maybe Demonard's trying to help Jason get past Gary. I can't imagine he'd be doing that, but Jason is through. Demonard now on the outside again. Gonna have to be careful going around the outside there. Gary could easily understeer wide with worn tyres, but they managed to negotiate that quite nicely. That wasn't a fart, it was a motorbike.
Yeah, as a brave move from Demonard, he had absolute trust in Gary there not to drift wide, and it's paid off for him. But yeah, interesting. I would have expected Jason to be a lot further ahead, so I wonder if he was just really taking it easy on those first laps.
Quite possibly.
That would suggest, looking at these tyres, he might be just planning to do the one more stop from here.
Well, interestingly, Steve F1 hasn't pitted to cover off Demonard's pit stop, so I wonder if Steve F1's going for a slightly different strategy. SGP, who pitted on the first lap, is now in between Steve F1 and Twilight. SGP's quite far up the road, so SGP's early pit stops actually work quite well for him at the moment.
It has, but the question will be with SGP, how many more stops is he planning to make?
Yeah, good
point. One more stop from here would be quite risky. I'm sure his tyres are probably now starting to tail off now. It'll be interesting to see these next few laps. Demonard and Jason with those fresher tyres should start catching him from this point.
Yeah, well, Fluffy and Gary are battling behind Demonard and Jason, which is lovely to see. Demonard making the move down the Camel Straight into Les Combes. It is Les Combes? Yeah, into Les Combes. Jason not fighting that one. I think there may have been a little bit of contact. I was going to say, which may be a bit sensible from Jason. Oh, that's risky. That's risky up the inside of P1. Twilight's gone wide, though. That may just allow Demonard through. Yes, it has. That's going to let Jason get close. Gary and Fluffy still side by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's worked out pretty well for Demonard, hasn't it? He's up to third now with clear air.
That hasn't.
Maybe not. Oh, my word. Yeah, that was a good save there. So he ended up far worse.
Yeah, no. God, I've just seen Gary dipping a wheel in the gravel. Sorry, I was on the pack cam. But yeah, Demonard's got Jason all over the back of him, up the inside of him. I mean, I said Jason wasn't fighting the one down the Camel Straight, and he wasn't. He's got every right to go for this now, and it's a nice move from Jason. Demonard may have to be careful of Twilight, who's still there, by the way.
Yeah, that's cost a mistake from Demonard, because now, instead of pulling away in third, he's now having to watch for Twilight behind him. So, yeah, it'd be important, I think, here to get a run on Jason now out of this corner and try and get the position back. Absolutely.
No attempt to make a move down into turn one. I'm not surprised by that. Because really, I don't think there's any point making a move into turn one here. You're much better off doing it down the Camel Straight and then not making a mistake later on in the lap. Demonard getting really close to Jason here. He might actually be... He's bump drafted him a little bit. Why would he do that? So now he's going for. Why would he bump draft him then overtake him?
Did he just not have enough of a slipstream? Was he thinking he's not got enough of a run at him, and maybe the only option is to bump draft him and just get him on the brakes at the end of the straight?
Maybe it was a case of trying to break away from Twilight, or maybe it was that what was on about earlier. Maybe he was too close, and if he'd have gone for the move straight away, maybe Jason could have come back at him. I honestly couldn't tell you. Fluffy's out wide though at No Name. He manages to survive. Artpal manages to avoid him. And from a distance, it almost looks like Dave the Art's got a DRS wing wide open. Oh, what he has got is up the inside of Fluffy. Holy cow. What a move. Dave's just had a fantasy.
I don't think Fluffy knew much about that one. No. He just found the gap and went for it. Nicely done in the end.
Dave's just had an amazing bowel movement through Puon. Number 2, please. Twilight's under a bit of pressure here now. I think Twilight's tyres may be suffering a little bit because Jason and Demon have pulled away from Artpal up the inside towards Blanchimont. Here they go, side by side. It can be done. Oh, Artpal's pushed him a little wide. That's going to compromise the both of them. Here comes Dave the Arp. Artpal's got fairly fresh tyres. Dave the Arp round the outside of Twilight. I thought we may see Twilight dive to the pits. Jason's in the pits.
Jason, that's a surprise. 18 minutes in. I can't believe he's going to get to the end from there. That would be a long way to go. So it must be a 3-stop for Jason.
Could be. Fluffy up the inside of Twilight into turn 1. That's where I said I wouldn't make a move. Let's see if Fluffy's going to hold on to that position. He's now got Twilight and Conrod behind him. There's the blonde Marshall. Nice to see you again, Mr. Spa Marshall. But Steve F1 still hasn't pitted. He's on the pack cam at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see if he's getting any understeer or anything like that. Or Artpal got defensive. Dave the Arp all over the rear of him as Dave the Arp got the tyres to try and go round the outside.
Yeah, nearly 19 minutes in. Is Steve F1 doing a one-stop? I'm sure he said before the race that a one-stop wasn't possible.
Wow.
Yeah, here we are, 19 minutes in, and he
tyres.
hasn't pitted. Yeah, that they are past their best. He's surely due a pit stop, but that does look like he's trying now. He's almost into one-stop range here.
Oh, well, interesting. His lap times. His last lap time was in the 2 minutes. Demon R's last lap time was the 1:56. So he may be on a one-stop, but he is losing a lot of time. But what he will save is 22, 25 seconds, something like that, by not having to do 2 pit stops. Jason only did 10 minutes on his stint. I don't think Jason can get to the end from now.
No, I think when you look at Steve F1's tyres after 19 minutes, and Jason's got to go another 22, 23 minutes on those tyres, he'd have to tyre save like crazy from here.
Absolutely.
But who knows? Maybe he thinks he can do it. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, Steve F1 is into the pits, bang on, half distance. So a one-stop is on the cards for him. The question will be, where does he come out? How much is he going to have to push? Because the only way, I think, to make the one-stop work, Steve, is if he doesn't have to battle. If he has to battle, that could ruin it, really. Conrad hasn't managed to get past Dave the Arp yet. I didn't see if Fluffy was passed on the Camel straight, but he was definitely behind Conrad through. Oh, Conrad, big tank slapper behind the timing tower, as Steve F1 is going to be coming out in about last place, or second to last. Jason's coming past him now down the run on the pack cam. There they are on the main screen. So Steve F1 isn't going to be last, but it's going to be 7th and 8th for Jason and Steve F1. So Jason's kind of got himself back into, is it net lead?
It depends. If Jason's going to the end, this is a fight for the net lead of the race. Or
I don't think Jason's going to the end.
No, I think it's going to be ambitious from here. And yeah, he didn't seem to fight that one too much. So yeah, maybe he's waiting for later on.
Well, interestingly, on screen now we've got Demon R who's closed in on the back of SGP. SGP pitted at the end of lap 1. Has not pitted.
Look at his tyres.
Yeah, he hasn't pitted again. He's going to soon, surely. Demon R should have an easy run on him, but SGP is positioning his car in all the awkward places. and we're not surprised about that. Jason, if he has got another pit stop to do, really needs to make a move on Steve F1. Demon R trying to make a move on SGP, but I'm wondering if Demon R is going to be aware that SGP is going to need to pit and may hang back a little bit. It kind of looks like he's giving him a lot of room.
Yeah, he might be able to see that. He probably following would know SGP's tyres are finished by the way his car's behaving. But yeah, SGP's again. I think he's trying to do a similar thing to Steve F1, but going one lap later. So will those one lap fresher tyres help him later in the race?
We will have to wait and see. Conrad and Fluffy into the pits as well. I think Jason needs to get an overtake done here. Either that or follow. If Steve F1's going to the end, if Jason just follows, maybe he could stretch those tyres out. But looking at how much wear Steve F1 had on his tyres at the end of that 20 minutes, I wouldn't want to be in Jason's position. I think if I was in Jason's position, I think I'd want to make an overtake, pull away, and get that pit stop later. I'm wondering if Jason just thought the tyre wear was greater. Here he is then making the move. I think he realises he's got to get it done, and now he's going to need to try and pull away. But this is where it's critical as well for Steve F1 to not fight this.
Yeah, and Steve F1, you saw there, he didn't really fight that much, did he? He's playing the long game here, and that's why Jason, if he's pitting again, he's got to get on with it. He can't afford to sit behind Steve F1 because he's going to be tyre saving.
Absolutely. On the pack cam, looks like we've got a slightly different camera angle. Not sure who we are on there. Steve F1 and Jason making the move on Dave the Harp. Did Dave the Harp have an issue?
Yeah. He made a mistake at the previous corner, and that gave Jason and Steve F1 the run, and then I think he just realised he's on old tyres. He bailed out and just let them go.
Enough. Steve F1 is still on the back of Jason. I mean, this is kind of a catch-22 position for Jason as well, because if Jason starts defending, then he's going to lose time. He needs to just try and ignore the fact that Steve F1's there. I just don't know if Jason knows that Steve F1 is potentially one-stopping. What we got up at the front, Steve F1, he's having a look around the outside and blows him on. I think it's better off it, but this is the thing, if he goes side by side there, it could put a little bit of heat through his tyres, which he doesn't need. So I think Steve's doing the right thing here, taking no punishment to his tyres as Twilight's all over the back of Gary on the pack cam.
And he'll probably know as well that Steve F1 will know at this point there's no point passing Jason there, because he'll just pass him straight back out of this next corner.
Absolutely. Interestingly, Arpal's up in second at the moment. Not 100% certain what strategy he is on. SGP doing a bit of a dive bomb, I think, on Twilight. Lets him back through. So let's see, is Steve F1 going to bump draft or go for the move? He's going for the move.
He's going for it. He's going for it. So yeah, maybe he just realised he just needs to get on with it. And, you know, at the end of the day, Demon R, he's got to think about him. He's got another stop to make.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Steve F1 feels that he's being held up by Jason, as Gary and Twilight side by side with SGP right behind them. Twilight late, nice. I was going to say late on the brakes, but I think it was Gary early on the brakes, but he's managed to fend off SGP. Here comes Conrad. Conrad pitted a lap or two ago, or a couple of minutes ago, so he's got nice fresh tyres. SGP up the inside of Gary, Conrad following him through. Nice move by the pair of them there.
Yeah, good racing, and I think Arpal might be in a good position there, because I seem to remember him being on relatively fresh tyres. So, like Demon O, I think he's just got the one more stop to go. So, I think he could be someone to watch in the latter stages.
Gary! He's survived. One thing I've noticed with Gary recently is he seems... Conrad, what a move round the outside of SGP at Lefania. What a move. Steve F1, though, was caught up to Arpal. Rather rapidly, so I'm wondering if you know what, I think Arpal may be close to a pit stop. I think Demon R may be close to a pit stop as well. Steve F1 round the outside of Blanchimont. Now he's got the inside line. This is where if Arpal is thinking pit lane, he's not going to want to fight this. Demon R is into the pits, so he'll be going for a slightly longer stint at the end here. Maybe he's aware that Steve F1 is on the one stop and doesn't want to lose another lap of time to him.
Yeah, and I think Arpal maybe now his tyres are starting to go off, and it's crucial Jason gets by, because he's starting to drop away from Steve F1 a bit.
Absolutely. But yeah, I was trying to say as well that Steve F1 can't afford to lose a lot of time around Jason or Arpal. because every second is going to be crucial against Demon R, really. Not sure where Demon R's come out yet. Jason going to make a move on Art Pal, unless Art Pal's got the slipstream. But we can see how much of a gap Steve F1 has opened up on Jason. So yeah, Jason does need to get a shift on. I'm wondering if Jason's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, between looking after his tyres and pushing. Fluffy having a look at a gap, that'll close. And Twilight lives to, well, I was going to say fight of a day, but Fluffy just manages to squeeze. I think Fluffy may have actually just given the Twilight the position back there. Perhaps he felt he gave Twilight a little bit too much of a nudge, as Gary up the inside of SGP now.
Oh, well, he's held that around the outside of Gary. That was a nice move there. SGP I think needs to get on with it, and I'm not sure. Oh, there's Demon R now in 9th, so now it'll be interesting to see how quickly Demon R can catch and pass these, because he will obviously now have his sights set on Steve F1 at the front.
Absolutely, and with a slightly longer stint, he won't be able to push as hard. He's caught up to the back of Gary already. SGP has opened up a bit of a gap. Demon R going for the move into Stavolo. Don't usually see that, but I think that's just the benefit of the fresher tyres. I think this is a situation for both SGP and Demon R where they can't afford to get caught up in a battle. They just need to make moves. Oh, Fluffy's a bit wide. 3 wide, 4 wide. Don't want to be 4 wide here, boys. Breathe in. Oh, they're going to survive.
What a move from Demon R. It just opened up for him nicely then. He's gained about 3 positions. That's exactly what he needed.
Absolutely.
He needs to pick these off as quick as he can, so he'll be smiling with that one, I think.
Well, the difficulty for him now, though, is that Twilight's right up his chuff, and they're all going to get slipstream as Fluffy makes the move on Gary into 1. Nice overtake. Now, because Fluffy will get slipstream from the car ahead, he may be able to hold on to that position. I think Dave the Arp's got fresh tyres closing in on these guys. But for Demon R, yeah, there's half a chance he might get mugged a bit here. I think he's going to be a sitting duck, isn't he? So he makes a lovely overtake, but he's going to get, Twilight making the move, Fluffy making the move. Gary's there as well. Twilight and Fluffy have gone deep.
Oh.
They got big. Can they survive? Oh, well done. Oh, Dave's just tagged the back of Twilight. Oh, that's unfortunate for Twilight. I tell you what, both Fluffy and Twilight did very well to not end up sliding across the road there. I tell you what, if Demon R wondered where his luck was, it was in that corner, because he was about to lose 2 places, and he's ended up with 2 cars disappearing and a bit of a gap to Gary. So it's possible Demon R may now be able to focus on going forwards and not defending. Oh, was that Gary a bit wide? I think it might have been.
Yeah, he just saw the layout of this track playing its part there, with Demon R got the moves done into the chicane, but then he was just vulnerable. Then down the next straight, up over the hill, and in the end, it just, because those cars alongside him made mistakes, he got a bit fortunate, but still he's sitting in 5th, and still very much in this.
Well, Jason and Conrad, their tyres are fairly similar in wear. SGP's got slightly better wear than those guys. Demon R's tyres are very fresh. Jason into the pits. That'll be for his last pit stop. He could have gone longer, but I think it would be pointless to go longer. I think he needs to push hard now, though, because I think he may be losing a few places. Gary into the pits, Fluffy into the pits as well for what should be their last pit stop. So Steve F1, let's have a look at his tyres. So about, a quarter wear gone, just over. That's not too bad. We saw what his tyres were like earlier. Art Pal on the back of Twilight's got fresh tyres. He was running in 2nd a little while ago, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do from here. Makes the move on Twilight, who I think has got very worn tyres. As Art Pal's already pulling away the exit of turn 1. Well, what a race we've got going on so far, and Conrad's still running in 2nd place. Not that far away from Steve F1, but I fear Conrad may have another pit stop to do.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what strategy Connor's on, but I presume he's got another stop to make. If he hasn't, he needs to make that stop soon, because I think Jason pitting when he did was probably as late as he probably could leave it with 10 minutes to go to make that final stop, because it's such a long pit stop. You've got a couple of laps even with the boost before you're going to catch back up.
Absolutely. Demon R with his fresher tyres is closing in rather quickly on the back of SGP. SGP's in that situation still where he's going to want to push, but if he wants to not pit again, he's going to have to not push. Let's see, Steve F1's making his way towards Blanchimont at the moment. Conrad a few seconds behind it. You know what? Conrad's not that far ahead of SGP. So this, there he is just ahead. So this could get very interesting. Dave Harp's in an interesting position as well, in 5th at the moment. May be able to get to the end. Demon R, is he going to go for the move? He's close. I'd be surprised if he goes for the move here, to be honest. Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
particularly against someone as good as SGP. I'm sure he's just going to pick his moment there. He's not just going to rush into an overtake where he's going to allow SGP a chance to come back. So I think he's waiting now to exit this corner to then get the run on him.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, once again, Zero attempt to make the overtake. Conrad and Dave Harp and Twilight all into the pits for their final stop. This is now very interesting. Demon R, is he making the move? I thought he was going to... No, he's backed out of it. I'm quite wise that. It could cost him a bit of time, but in the long run, it could mean that SGP won't come back at him. As he makes the move. I think SGP may have been on the boost a bit there. I could be wrong. Is he having a look at the inside? He is. Demon R spots him just. Side by side they go, and move done. This is where Demon R now needs to make the most of his tyres and pull away, isn't it, Steve, in this middle sector, so SGP can't come back at him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the fresher tyres. We should be able to do it now. And here comes Connor. Connor's obviously pitted, and he's up now to 7th past Gary. So yeah, he's someone now on these fresh tyres who could be one to watch, I think, from here.
Absolutely. Interestingly though, Arpal and Jason are ahead of Conrad, and they pitted only about 4 or 5 minutes ago, I think. Arpal may be a little earlier than that. So yes, it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen. I think Fluffy's going to have to pit again. Conrad, though, as we know, is quick. So if he can get a move done on Fluffy down the back straight, maybe, as Fluffy peels into the pits, could Conrad catch Jason? It'd be interesting to see. I think there's a bit of a gap between Jason and the cars ahead, but I think at the moment, sort of 2nd, 3rd and 4th are very close still.
Yeah, I think Connor is more than capable of getting 4th, maybe even still catch SGP for 3rd from here if SGP is going to the end.
Absolutely. Conrad with a lovely move there on sort of through the run to Blanchimont and exit of Blanchimont. I know I said I wouldn't make moves into the final corner. If you have a massive tyre advantage, then it's worth making. Yeah, look at Arpal's tyres, and he's closing in on the back of SGP. Ooh, this could be painful for SGP.
Yeah, this is dangerous territory for SGP here. If he's doing the same structure as Steve F1, he hasn't got that gap to defend that Steve F1's got, so he could find himself in a bit of a dogfight at the end here on worn tyres. So, yeah, SGP, I'm sure at the moment, is getting a bit nervous. Seeing the cars behind catch him, this could be a problem. Yeah,
well, I mean, no offence to Arpal, but, I mean, many would say that SGP is faster than Arpal, he's more experienced. So SGP may be thinking this sounds really bad to Arpal. It's not meant as a negative. SGP might be thinking, well, if Arpal's catching me at the moment, Jason's going to get me, Connor's going to get me. Oh, who was that was wide? That was SGP. I think he's definitely looking in his mirrors. He's definitely thinking about a few things, because that's an unusual mistake at the maker. But SGP, he's gone wide again. Holy cow! He's here somewhere.
He doesn't need that. If he's going to the end of those tyres, that's not going to help at all. Yeah, you can see now he's starting to struggle. This is, I wonder if he's going to end up pitting here again. This is...
you know what that was? You know what that was? I reckon that was my little brother is not overtaking me on the track. I'm going to drive off the track and he'll go through, but he is not overtaking me.
Yeah, that's gonna be painful for SGP. I'm sure Art Powell will have loved that move as well.
Yeah. Oh, Conrad making a move on Jason. They're side by side through Blanchimont. Fluffy's closing in as well. Fluffy's on fresh tyres too. So Conrad has made the move on Jason. Fluffy having a look up the inside of Jason. Cheeky. Nothing wrong with that, as they all managed to just get through. this is critical. Well, it sounds bad saying it, critical for Jason, but he's at risk of plummeting here. Conrod's been rapid, and Jason really needs to latch onto the back of him. SGP has not pitted. Well, I was going to say he may come to regret it. I think if he pitted, he's plumb last. Oh, side by side. Ooh, we're risky with Fluffy, who's not had much experience, but Gary trusts him enough to make the move. Here goes Jason with the run back on Conrad. And gets the move done. Or does he? Oh, Fluffy.
Yeah, interesting. I was just thinking Con was on the same straight as Art Pal when they started this lap, so I was thinking he'd got a great chance of getting third, but he just got picked off in the slipstream by Jason. So and now he's under pressure from Gary. So that's not really worked out for Connor at the start of this lap.
Not ideal, is it? I think Gary actually I think he got ahead of him for a moment. Oh, and runs a little bit wide, does Conrad. SGP he's in major trouble here. Jason's catching him rapidly, which means so is Conrad, so is Gary, so is Dave, so is Fluffy, so is everybody who is behind him. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I mean, if you're SGP at this point, do you just peel in the pits because you know you're getting mugged here?
It's too late, isn't it? He might as well stay out now, because if he pits, he's just going to be last anyway. He might as well just try and hang on. But I think either way, he's just in a not a good situation now. Whatever he does, he's kind of.
Sorry, Dave was up the inside of Conrad there. It was a little tight. There were three wide. Jason's got past SGP. SGP's kind of covering that inside. I think Gary may have just tagged him. Oh, they've managed to. SGP is going for the pits. Yeah, well, I think even if he hadn't, I think he's finishing plumb last. At least he can try and get a quick lap in at the end, I suppose. Painful for him, though. What we got here, then, a three-way battle into turn one. Conrad's found himself in a battle he did not want to be in, hasn't he? Jason and formerly Gary ahead of him. Dave the Arp and Fluffy are right behind him, with Twilight as well. Twilight going side by side with Fluffy. Up Eau Rouge through Radion. They're still side by side. This is brilliant stuff.
Yeah, this is. Fluffy, how lucky was that?
Dave's making the move. Three wide into Lecombe. Gary may have to back out of this one. He does. Conrad, he'll have the inside line. Dave's, I think, may have fresher tyres though. Dave's got the inside line. What a move from Dave. That'll really annoy Connor. Connor's a little wide. Gary having a look up the inside. That's risky up there, Gary. He realises it. Now the three wide behind. Conrad's gone a little bit deep with his slightly dirty tyres. So has Fluffy. This is fantastic stuff. I've just noticed there's only 50 seconds left of this race, team, which means these guys, I think, may be on their last lap. And on the pack cam, Demon R is closing in on the back of Steve F1. We're not mentioning anything about them for the last 10 minutes because there's not really been anything to mention. Gary's all over the back of Twilight here. What a battle we've got. This is going to be there's 25 seconds left. I don't even know if the leaders will get another lap, you know.
It's going to be touch and go, isn't it? I think Steve F1 was 10 seconds ahead of Demon R a few laps ago, and the gap's come right down now, so Steve F1 won't want the extra lap at this point, but these guys, they're scrapping for the line. Who's going to come out on top for these positions?
It's frantic. Arpal may be safe. Jason's closing in on him. The leaders will get another lap. Conrad.
Connor's got reset.
Oh dear. Arpal does manage to cross the line in third. Can Dave hold on to fifth? Can Twilight hold on to sixth? Yes, he can. Fluffy seventh. Gary 8th. Didn't quite see exactly who finished where behind them. Let's move on to the leaders then. So Steve F1, look at his tyres. They are absolutely shredded. He definitely didn't want the extra lap. Demon R's aren't much better though. And considering that Demon R's only been on this for 14 minutes, I think that shows that he's been pushing hard. And I don't think he's got any boost left.
No, I think he just used the last of his boost to close in. Has Steve F1 got any boost left to defend here? Because this could be a bit of a sitting duck in the final straight here. Look at how much he's closing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Steve F1's longer stint. Demon R will close in the slower sector, the middle sector. Oh, this could be fascinating. Demon R's a little bit wide. He's a little bit wobbly. Steve F1 manages to survive a little bit into Puon. Let's see what can... Oh, Demon R's gone wide again and poo on the dirty tyres from the previous corner, maybe. Maybe it's the worn tyres. Maybe he's trying too hard. Steve F1...
That's just gifted Steve F1 the win, surely, because he's got boost. Look, his light's still green, so he's got boost left to use on this last straight as well.
That is true. The question is, has he still got grip in his tyres? Oh, you know what? I think the gap's big enough that I think Steve may be safe. I don't think Demon R's going to be able to do anything.
He's on the boost. He's on the boost as well to just give himself every chance to hold on.
ETL!
I must have missed that.
Well, the only thing Demon R can hope for now is that Steve F1 spins it here, but I doubt that's going to happen. So Steve F1 manages to hold on. It looked like it was going to be a formality, but Steve F1 has absolutely none of it. Takes the victory in Spa. What a race. What a race.
Yeah, that was a brilliant race throughout. A great strategic battle at the front between Steve F1 and Demon R. And then, yeah, you got to say well done to Art Pal in third as well. That's one of his best results. And I think he must have just got the strategy absolutely spot on there to come out and get that final third place, and some great battles behind that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I don't really know what to say too much about that one. Many different strategies. It kind of shows why this track was kind of yellow on the tyre indicator. Steve F1 has done a one-stop strategy there. I mean, he's managed to make it work, but how close was that to not working? I mean, I can imagine Demon R is going to be kicking himself thinking about back through the whole of that race of where did he lose a second? Because that was all it really was in the end. Okay, he made the error, but did he make any other mistakes? And that's what will play on his mind. Steve F1, though, brilliant race there to hold on, take the victory. First one of this championship, so well done to him. And as you say, well done to Art Pal. I do believe it is his best finishing position in DGT League. I can't believe SGP robbed him of the opportunity of overtaking him for that third place. SGP would appear to have not let him have that trophy, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Art Pal will still be happy, won't he? And yeah, SGP will just be kicking himself. I think he tried to do a similar strategy to Steve F1, but he just didn't. I don't think he had the gap in the end like Steve F1 had to defend with the tyres he had, and he just got swamped.
The thing is as well, SGP had to battle a lot more in that second stint. He was in battles, whereas Steve F1, the timing of his pit stop, he only really had Jason, didn't he? So that, I think, would have been a major factor for SGP as well, because, as we said, when you push the car a little bit more in a corner every now and again, and it reduces the ability to go that little bit longer. I mean, for Jason, though, I mean, I think Jason may be kicking himself with fourth there, but he's done brilliantly. But I am wondering, though, whether Art Pal may be able to now say that he's got more podiums than SGP this season. I don't know for certain. I think so,
yeah. I think the same three were on the podium the first three races, weren't they? So yeah, I don't think SGP's had a podium this season.
Sorry, SGP, but that might be Art Pal's new saying. One more podium than SGP. I mean, what I will say is I feel for SGP, though. I mean, the spin on the first lap, when that happens, it's always going to be difficult. He still could have got back in it, but I mean, he's having a tough championship. But as I know, the personal life, I mean, I was busy for a couple of weeks, and I know he's been busy with stuff in the personal life, and it can have an effect. Whether it just be a bit of tiredness or not getting some practice where he usually might, it can make a difference. So I think as long as SGP is still enjoying his races, which he said he is, that's all that really matters. Although Art Pal does have one more podium than you. As for the rest, Dave the Arp done brilliantly to hold on to fifth place, I believe it was. Conrad was so unlucky on that final chicane. I believe it was kind of the mentality of had to go for it, it didn't work, so a massive shame for him, but a brilliant battle with that pack throughout the whole of the race. I mean, Gary's been in so much action in this race, it's brilliant to see. Fluffy, very difficult race for him and those around him, with him not being that experienced in this car yet, but I think he's conducted himself quite nicely. Twilight's had a solid race, considering that he also had zero practice. So yeah, a brilliant race to see. Yeah, shame a few of the other drivers weren't able to make it, but again, personal lives get in the way, with Ray moving house, Bunsell celebrating giving up a job, and all different things like that. So yeah, Hay, I think, has gone to a desert island, or maybe he's gone to Love Island.
Yeah, maybe.
Just imagine a you can't.
Might have to start watching it, isn't it?
You know what? I probably would as well. But talking about things to watch. Stallone is making a new movie. He's making a new movie about composers, and he said that he's going to play Beethoven. Van Damme has said that he's going to be Mozart, and Schwarzenegger said, "Stop it, guys, I'm not saying it. I'll be back."
I haven't got a good enough Arnie accent to do that one.
Oh dear. Well, anyway, thank you, Steve, for joining me on commentary. It's been a brilliant race.
You're welcome.
To watch and to commentate with you on. Hopefully Ray's house move has gone well, and in a moment I shall go through the next track, and then we'll have a look at the championship standings. Also, just a quick note to everybody, there is going to be a G-spot this week. There's going to be 4 of them. Right, thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Okay, so let's take a look at the next track, and it is Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, otherwise known as Interlagos, Brazil, where we're going to see some bad tyre wear. Normally this is the point where Ray would give you the information about the track, but he's off sunning himself in a new area of Scotland. Hang on, sorry, he's getting the suntan off snow in Scotland. Okay, so track length 2.67 miles, corners 15 of them. Tyre damage indicator is red, because even though there's some long straights here, it's the corners in that middle sector that really punish their tyres. Turn 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are very, very painful to the tyres. And because of the nature of that middle section, the front left tyre, I believe, is going to take an absolute beating. So we could see very unbalanced tyre wear. I would suggest to the drivers, though, to the braking point for turn 1, because if you get that wrong, you could end up going a long way off the track. Also, as a bit of a tip, in that middle sector, try and keep your wheels straight when you're braking, and try and be off the brakes when you're steering. It will help. Other than that, all I can really say is good luck to the drivers around Brazil. Some love it, some hate it. Just be glad we've not got rain there, because it could be slippy enough without it. But yeah, it is a track that I must admit I do like. The flow of it is a little awkward in that middle sector, but for a very simple layout, really. It's got sort of 2 or 3 major corners. Turn 1, the centre S's. The flow for that is really nice, and then into the Curva de Sol. And towards the end of the lap, young cow, get that corner wrong, you can lose so much time. Get it right, and you can gain so much speed all the way down to turn 1. Which, again, you may want to check your braking point, especially if you got some boost and slipstream. Okay, right, well, that's the track. And yeah, I think it's time to have a look at the confirmed race results and the championship standings. Steve F1 then taking the victory in the match with 20 points with an emphatic drive. Absolutely brilliant, doing the one stop and making it work. Demon R finishing in second place, so close to stealing that win, but if you're going to make errors, you're not going to win races. Art Power with his best result in DGT League so far. Third place for him. Very pleased for him as well. Jason will have been wishing that they'd have been able to get onto that extra lap because Jason was closing the gap. But that's the way the Spa cookies crumble. Dave the Heart finished in 5th place, just ahead of Twilight in 6th, Fluffy Planet in 7th, Formula Gary in 8th. Conrad, as we saw, got reset right at the last corner. Very unlucky for him. Was on for a potential 6th, maybe 5th. SGP, unfortunate towards the end with his tyres going off, finishes in 10th place. No reports placed for this event, which means either everybody felt they were behaved or behaved well after they'd done something wrong. Or could it be that just about every time Ray isn't at a race, there's no reports? Ooh. Well, I don't know about that one. Anyway, no penalties to give out, so let's take a look at what that has done to the championship standings. Demon R then leading the way still now on 77 points with Steve F1 closing that gap. He's on 67, so the gap is down to 10 points. Jason still in 3rd place on 59, just falling adrift a little bit from Steve F1 there, 18 points off the lead. Art Power with his brilliant result jumps up to 4th place on 48 points. He's now ahead of SGP, who drops to 5th on 44 points. David Harp is now in 6th place on 37 points, and then in 7th place we've got Conrad on 33. Jim is in 8th place on 27 points, and then in 9th we've got Formula Gary on 23. He's only a couple ahead now of Rich Blues, but with Rich not racing, he'll be hoping he can catch that back up next time out. Hay in 11th place on 19 points. Twilight moves up to 12th on 17. SRI drops down to 13th on 16 points. And then Bunsel on 11 points in 14th place. With Fluffy, having now raced and scored 10 points, moves to 15th all on his own and demotes Mitch to 16th. Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier on, there's going to be a few G-Spot videos coming out over the next few days. That is as long as I've been able to edit them together. But yeah, there should be 4 of them containing different things. Some will be from Suzuka, some will be from Fuji. I don't think there'll be anything from Spa. I could be wrong, but you never know. And hopefully a few clarifications on a couple of things that have been requested about. I won't go into that now. Just quickly mention as well that there is merch still available and custom items can be made for you if you wish. Just drop us a message on the video or get in touch on the Dynamic GT League Facebook page, where I'm sure when Ray is back online, he will continue to start posting or reposting races from the past, which a few people have found quite interesting to re-watch. Right, that's all for today. So thank you very much for watching, listening. Hit that like, subscribe, notifications, you know the drill. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you all again soon.